Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Rebel City Podcast. We are well into our new year now, and I hope everybody's new year is going as planned. I know that I'm back at work, back at martial arts, back at the gym, and loving life. This week's guest is Jen Wilson. Jen Wilson is responsible for the Warrior Women Project and also the I Am Jen Wilson podcast, which I had the pleasure of being the first male guest on back in the first week in January. And if you've not caught that, then please go SoundCloud, iTunes and have a listen to that podcast. We had a really powerful conversation with Jen around fitness, nutrition, her experience with Crohn's disease and how she's managed to get herself well again, med-free. And how she did that. So have a listen. I hope you take something away from it. I hope you enjoy the conversation as I do all the podcasts. Like last time, I'm going to sponsor the podcast with a positive action or technique for better mental health. And just going off of the subject matter that we spoke to Jen about, this week's is going to be nutrition. I know there's a lot of bad information out there. I know there's a lot of good information, and trying to get through all that information and get to the stuff that really suits you can be a bit of a nightmare for people. Personally, I have built my diet up over the course of years, finding out what works for me. And I've got a couple of key cornerstones. The first one is intermittent fasting, so between the hours of midnight and 6 p.m. right now, but that fluctuates between 4 and 6 and sometimes 8. I don't eat, and I only eat between the hours of either 4 p.m, 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. and midnight. That is something that really works for me. That works for me because I'm a muncher and I like my food. So it allows me to eat in the way that I enjoy, but also keep my weight down, and also found that it keeps fat percentages down as well. So intermittent fasting is something that I recommend. Also, 95% of the time, or 95% of the week, I will eat fish, chicken, meat, beef, eggs, fruit, veg, nuts and seeds. The fruit can be dried fruit, fresh fruit, veg can be frozen veg, fresh vegetables, it's up to yourself. Basically what that means for me is that I don't take any processed or cane sugars in. And I've found that this diet is what suits me best for performance in martial arts and in the gym and just in general life. Cognitively, I find it very beneficial during the day to be in a state of fast, in a state of alertness, so that when I'm at work I can perform to my best. And then at night I like to comfort myself a wee bit with some food. But I try and keep those, I do. I keep those foods 95% of the time to proteins, fish, meat, chicken, eggs, and fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds. The other 5% of the week, I will allow myself to eat whatever I want. I used to be a bigger guy, being kind to myself, because I used to be 20 odd stone, 22, 23 stone, and I currently sit about 13, 14 stone. So 5% of the week, I allow myself to have that chocolate, have those crisps, have a milkshake, have a McDonald's. And even though there will be people out there that don't agree that giving yourself that 5% sort of carb up day or treat day, I like to call it, because I earn it. It's not a cheat. Cheating means that you're breaking your diet. I'm not breaking my diet. This is part of my plan, and I earn it during the week. I do 4 martial arts classes. I go to the gym 5 times. I'm on my feet constantly. I'm very strict with my diet 95% of the time, but that 5%, I feel just allows me to really focus on good nutrition the rest of the time. So, mental health, some might be thinking, well, what's that got to do with your mental health? Well, I love the analogy that your body is a car, that your brain's the engine, and that your stomach is the fuel tank. So if you're driving a diesel car and you're putting petrol into that fuel tank, it's going to break down. Simple as that. And I feel that in myself, that cognitively, I see massive, massive, massive positive effects when I'm good with my diet. If I allow myself maybe a couple of days, maybe even a week, if I'm going on holiday, something along these lines, to start to just let myself loose that sort of tight grip that I've got in my nutrition, I can really feel the impact. If I eat too many treat meals in a week, say I have 2 instead of 1, I can feel that impact. I feel the sluggishness, I feel out of control of my thoughts. I just don't feel centred in my usual self. And I love the saying, garbage in, garbage out. If you're constantly just eating crap, if you're drinking loads of alcohol, if you're smoking cigarettes, what you're putting that into your body, what kind of output are you expecting to get from your mind? Do you expect it to be clear? Do you expect it to be positive? Do you expect it to be rounded and grounded? I don't think you can. And there might be people out there that say, well, I'm fine, but my nutrition, Paul, that's not really how I eat. So, well, I think you could see even greater impacts, even greater output, even better mental health if you're getting top of your nutrition. So this week's sponsor is Healthy Nutrition, 95% of the time. All right. I hope you enjoy this week's podcast. Any feedback, as always, we're on Twitter at Rebel City Pod, at Paul Rebel City, at Rebel City Matt. And I hope you enjoy the conversation we had with Jen. So hello and welcome to episode 14 of Rebel City Podcast. As always, Matt, how's it going, mate?
Not bad, mate. Looking forward to get started today.
Getting used to the cold weather?
No. I'm not enjoying it at all. You know, I'm going to go and travel to everywhere with a duvet on me in the next couple of weeks, I think, to be honest with you.
Nice. I've been walking about with a big duvet on for the last month, I think. Our guest today is Jen Wilson. How's it going, Jen?
That's very good, thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, no, nice to meet you.
Not at all. So you've got, as we can see, the Warrior Woman Project.
Yep.
I loved I took a wee bit out your bio because I loved it. It said, offer of becoming a warrior woman, 9 rules to sort your shit. Urban hippie, which I thought was amazing. Body, mind and soul coach, and warrior woman Jen is here to help you sort your shit.
Yep.
So how do you do that? How do you help people sort their shit? You can go through my shit if you want. We'll sort through it.
Let me go and get a notepad.
I'm actually going to be rewriting the book, so it's just going to be 9 rules to sort your shit, so that men don't feel like embarrassed about buying a book that says "Become a Warrior Woman" on the front of it. So I'm doing that in the new year, so I'll get you both a copy.
Good.
So basically, what I do with the book and with the programme is I get people to take a step back and look at what's actually going on in their life, because it's dead easy if you are in a negative place to think everything in your life is shite and that nothing's good and there's just, you can't see the wood for the trees basically. So it's like, right, let's take a step back and see what's actually going on here. So I get them to do what I call a wheel of happiness, and it's marking different areas of your life out of 10. And some things might be right down at 2 or 3, and some things might, like, you might look at it and everything's down at 2 or 3, or you might look at it and there's only 1 or 2 things, so that can help you get better perspective on what's going on. Right. And sometimes some things need to be down at 2 or 3 so that you can put your focus on something else, because you can't have all the plates spinning and everything spinning perfectly. There's always got to be a wobble somewhere. And you have to make the decision at what's important in your life right now. And then once you've got that, it's easier to start dealing with things rather than trying to deal with everything. It's like prioritising it. The next thing I get people to do is look at their values so that they know exactly who they are and how it is they want to show up in the world. Because if you're living by your values, every decision you make is so much easier. When it comes to a conflicting decision, it's, well, what works and what goes by your values. And when you've got that, it's like no-brainer.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 very first steps that I get people to work on. And once they've got that, it's like, right, okay, I know what I want to fix and how I fit that with my values, and it makes all the decisions that you need to make. Then we set some goals so that you can start working, putting the steps into place so that you're working towards that. And then I look at things like self-love and self-belief, because if you don't believe in yourself, it can be really, really hard to make those those steps go forwards. We look at procrastination because people always think that procrastination can be a really, really bad thing, but sometimes you need procrastination to make sure that you're on the right track. Because if you just go straight in for every single thing, you're putting even more plates up into the air and you're trying to juggle more things. So it's like, right, take a breather, have a look and see what's going on in your life, see what it is that you want to, and make sure it's the right decision before you start taking it. Notice though that if you're just stalling and then look at why you're actually stalling on it. Because it might be that what you said that you wanted, you don't actually want. So it's like it's making those kind of decisions. And then we look at, what else do we look at? Ooh, I should have read my book before I came out.
the areas that you get them to rate,
Yeah.
are they the same for everybody?
No.
So it's like different areas that you get people?
Yeah, because what I do, you can get a tool online that's called the Wheel of Life, and if you look at that, the headings for that are relationship, health, spirituality and religion, career. I can't remember, there's another couple of headings, but they're quite vague because for some people health could be their mental health, their physical health, their emotional health, their financial health, like that can be broken down. Relationships, well, which relationships are you talking about? Is you talking about the relationship with your next door neighbour and your boss, or your friends and family? So I give people a blank one, and it's like, right, what headings do resonate with you, so that you're working on the things that are relevant to you. And you could have maybe 3 different wheels. You could have one for your health, one for your relationships, one for your work and your career, and break your life down even in that to try and really get a better picture and get a clearer picture of what's important to you.
Okay. The idea of self-love is something that I think is quite new to me personally. How important do you think it is?
It's hugely important, but it's something I'm still working on. Because I don't know if it's just a West of Scotland thing that you've got, but if people go, oh, look at the state of them, she pure loves herself, he pure loves himself, it's an insult. It's
that's
not
a negative that you actually look out for yourself.
Yeah, and when you're throwing that negative at somebody, that person probably doesn't love themselves because they're probably eluding something that is giving off a false sense of confidence where they don't love themselves, so they're putting the makeup on, putting the outfits on, or acting in a certain way, driving a certain car to make it look like they are all important, and it's all about their insecurities, and then you're projecting your insecurities on somebody else. So your self-love is really concentrate what's going on in you, going back to your values. Who are you? What is it that you want from life? What is it that makes you happy? When you can start working on that, then it's easier to take it out and be less judgmental of other people.
Oh, definitely. I think that something that I realised maybe about a year ago is that because I'm so harsh on myself, I'm super harsh on everybody that's around about me. So if people were like sort of close to me, I would be super judgmental about what they were doing, how they were doing it. But if people were like one step removed, I was like almost like super supportive. So if I seen somebody like online and I didn't really know them and they were saying like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But if somebody quite close to me was saying, I want to do this, I want to do that, I would pick it apart almost, because that's what I was doing to myself.
Yeah.
Was just being super harsh and just thinking nothing's good enough, it needs to be better. And
did you find that made you feel better at the time?
no, made me feel like shit. I mean, if you've got a friend that's coming to you with either a creative idea or a career progression or a new girlfriend or any sort of change, positive change in their life, and you're sitting thinking, well, it's not that good, is it? Do you know what I mean? You're mainly I would internalise it. I mean, I wouldn't like shitting on people, you know what I mean? If they'd be like, but inside I'd be like, really? Is that something to be shouting about? And then just sort of ended up just questioning myself about like, what does that say about me and how I feel about myself? And
I think in terms of this conversation, I would probably like to maybe replace a bit of the cynicism. I'm definitely quite cynical, and I think that's one of the things that when I try and set goals or sort of move forward in certain areas, the sort of inner cynic in me can sometimes take control. And I think that expectation that things are essentially going to fall apart at one time or another can be quite a blockage to, you know, improvement and change and stuff like that. So, self-love is definitely something I think I could get behind. Yeah.
So even doing things like gratitude, and gratitude for what you're grateful within yourself. So you're grateful that you can get up and breathe every morning. You're grateful that you've got your eyesight to see, taste buds to taste, and start working on those smaller things.
The day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, just the wee things that you take for granted, because it's not until something gets completely taken away from you, like if your physical health deteriorates and then all of a sudden you go, shit, I can't do that anymore. Like, even get up and go to the toilet or whatever. It's like, I used to be able to walk, my muscles used to be active, whatever. So really taking appreciation for what you can do.
I think it's easy to see sometimes as well, like from my own personal point of view, like my partner suffers quite with chronic ill health, with epilepsy and various other things. And one of the conversations we were having the other day was just that she's basically a young woman now, essentially trapped in an old woman's body. And, you know, getting the days out where you can go and take the wee into a zoo or whatever it is and actually do the normal everyday things are something that I think, you know, you could revel in on a day-to-day basis and realise that it is a solid basis for your own happiness, you know what I mean?
It's a gift.
So gratitude, do you think, like, is that sort of like journaling?
Yeah,
Like journal?
It's better to write the things down so that you're getting that proper connection in your brain, because you've actually had to make the shapes of the words. Because I've tried it of like, oh, just think about the things that I'm grateful for, and you go, oh yeah, that's great, but it goes away because something else comes into your life. So if you actually write it down, it means that if it goes away, you can go back and pick that up and read it again, and it's reaffirming it. But also, when you think about what it is you're grateful for, think about why you're grateful for that as well, because that then amplifies that gratitude. Because it's easy to go, I'm really grateful for my taste buds or my sight, but why are you what do you get to see, what do you get to taste, what do you get to feel off the back of that? And then that affirms it even more for you.
Other things that I noticed, especially the last sort of few years, is the rise of these sort of like filters that people put in their pictures, and wonder about what kind of effect that has on especially women, because predominantly as women that use them. It's almost like another layer of makeup, where people don't feel confident enough to put their picture on
like
their
the
own.
kind of masks that we've talked about previously.
It's such a strange thing that there's women out there that don't feel like they can put their face to their social media. They need to sort of cover it up with like a sort of doggy filter that not only puts like dog ears, which is sort of that, it also like smooths the skin and makes the eyes bigger, and you're almost looking at it and thinking, that doesn't look like you. And what does that tell a person? Do you know what I mean? Like, sort of internally, if they don't feel like they can take a picture and post it to the world, that they must cover it up, they don't have the confidence. I think that's another sort of level of self-love that you see people, like you were saying, it's almost like false self-love that they put out, and they're like, oh, I'm having a night out, I'm having a great time, look at my pictures, everybody like my pictures. But then they're filtering their photo also if you were on that night out. I mean, I've been on nights out or been at parties with people that they're like, had the most amazing time with all my mates and tag you in it, and you think, you didn't say 2 words to me. Do you know what I mean?
But it makes them look more popular because they've got more names on that list.
Makes them feel, I think. I'm not sure how much a lot of it's got to do with other people, but I think it's about them almost saying they think that I'm like that, so that makes me feel better about myself.
And so what we're talking about is appreciation of yourself versus gratification.
But you don't, I think when you lie to yourself like that, it has an adverse effect on your mental health. I think when you know deep down that isn't the person that you are, it's almost like you're putting your goals out there. You would love to be a social person, you would love to be popular, but you're not. So how are you going to manifest that? Well, manifest it by posting and making people think that that's the way that I am, when in fact I'm not really like that. So we've had a lot of conversations about how social media is affecting people, and
definitely.
I don't think that we're quite there yet with the internet to know the good and the bad sides, and what things are having poor sort of effects on people and what things have good effects on people.
I think we'll probably not see that until the generations that don't know life before the internet start coming through, because I'm old enough to remember. I remember being in school and them talking about there being this thing that you would be able to send messages across the room to each other, and we were all like, that, no way.
Aye, that was wild.
No chance. I can remember.
I was in about third year at the time.
Well, I can remember being in secondary school, and my dad had poor health, like heart, so he did like therapeutic computer courses at John Whately College, and we get the internet put in really early. And I can remember my history teacher saying, is there anybody here that's got the internet? And I was the only person to put my hand up, and he was saying, how do you use it? And I was like, I don't, because it's like my dad uses it. It's all like, it's boring, like there's nothing there. And he said to the class that there'll be a day where everybody in this room will be connected to the internet, and not only connected to the internet, like Paul's saying, through his PC in the living room, if we can remember that, with the printer and the PC sitting in the living room. But he was talking about things like you'll be connected where you sit, and this guy was like in his 60s.
Yeah.
And it was like, what, 1996, 1997?
Yeah, probably.
Like, wow, this guy had proper insight. But I'm with you. I mean, there's a I can't remember what comedian, but there's a comedian did a joke where he was saying that there's women out there that have got 1.5 million people staring at their arse. What kind of person does that make you? Like, how is this person surviving the real world when they get this constant positive, like, you're beautiful on the internet?
Yep.
Does it make people want to sort of disconnect for like real life?
Some of them have got a lot of negative being thrown at them as well, though, remember? Because as much as they've got all these positives, there will be trolls out there, keyboard warriors that are saying negative things, and for them, they will pick up on that, and that is what they will probably cling to more than all the positive. So it's a double-edged sword, really, having all those followers and having somebody attack you, and it's like, what for?
Yeah.
That's it.
It has got. I mean, in terms of obviously the Warrior Women project and, you know, your promotion at the book and stuff like that, is that something that you've encountered? Because I know obviously in the world that we kind of live in, you know, feminism and feminist topics and, you know, just, you know, the social justice warrior kind of carry on that likes to get thrown about by trolls and stuff like that. Is that something that you've encountered in terms of, you know, your work?
Not recently. When you were talking about filters, there was something that had come to mind back before filters were a thing, I think before Snapchat existed, that there was a campaign for, I think it was breast cancer or raising awareness for breast cancer, and all the women had to post pictures of themselves without makeup on.
Yeah.
And I don't wear makeup anyway, so I was just putting up a normal photo of myself. But there was a guy actually come on and started attacking me, going, "You're just posting this, you're a narcissist, you're posting this for likes, blah, blah, blah." And I was just like, who the fuck are you? Look. I was like, I'd never had any negative communication with the guy before. He'd done that. With the Warrior Women project, I'm trying just kind of scanning my brain. I don't think I've not had anybody come on and say anything negative about that. The only other negative thing I've had is people when I've posted about my health, because I got diagnosed with Crohn's last year, and I went on this huge mission to get my health back on track and be med free and be symptom free, and I've managed to do that. And I posted about it, and I had comments from other people who are suffering from Crohn's going, "Oh, well, it's all right for you." And I'm like, no, hang on a wee minute. I've done a full revamp of my whole lifestyle. I've totally researched everything. I've not listened to anything the hospitals told me. I've taken on board all the other small studies that they couldn't give me any advice or guidance on, and I've tested that and it's worked for me. So
what's the beef?
Why are you? Because you're on a different journey. But I was like, had to step back and not go into a conversation about that, because I'm like, I don't want to attack somebody because they're really suffering and obviously in a bad place, but they're attacking me for being in a good place.
So almost, I think that think about that is probably people that have either tried and been unsuccessful, or they don't feel like they've got the willpower to have, because so your Crohn's disease, what was it that you did? Was it like dietary?
I had to stop teaching all my classes because I used to teach 20 plus classes a week. Lot of high intensity exercise. Used to sleep about 4 hours a night because I was back at uni full time studying. I had just a huge amount of stress in my life. So first thing I had to do was start sleeping and actually taking days off and resting, because I was working 7 days a week as well, because I loved what I did. And it was just, I got a buzz out of it. So I was living in adrenaline constantly. So I had to do all that.
Sounds familiar. So it does, like, uni, 4 hours sleep. I think for me, sleep is the foundation for any sort of solid health. I mean, I've learned to re-taught myself, similar to yourself, to sleep in recent years. Good solid 8 hours a night, and it's life changing. So it is. Couldn't recommend it more. And
it was never something that the hospital advised me of or suggested to even look at. And I'm like, when I started doing the research to what Crohn's was and how chronic inflammation occurred in the body, one of the first things that I came across was a study on sleep deprivation. As soon as I read that, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And when I started working on that, that's when my pain level went from an 8 down to a 4. Within 3 nights of getting a good night's sleep.
That's crazy.
When I told the hospital, when I went up to the hospital and I told them, they were like, It could be could be the medication that's helping you. And I was like, well, the medication's made it worse so far, so maybe it's the sleep. But they weren't on board with
anything other than sort of standard medical practices. Is sort of like, it's seen as a bit sort of it's a bit washy or a wee bit like holistic medicine.
Yeah.
We used to, I mean, we spent hundreds and thousands of years with holistic medicine. We've only really had modern day medicine for like 100 and odd years.
Yeah.
And it's almost like we've turned our back on anything that's sort of nature based.
Yeah.
Is CBD come into it in any?
I've been taking that since March, April this year. I've been
Have you
taking
noticed
CBD. It's
an impact
for loads of things. It's helped.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it the first time I took it. I mean, I think because I smoke weed anyway. So, but there's no CBD in the stuff that gets you stoned, or there's very little. So the first time I had heard about CBD and tried it, I woke up one morning, took it, and just absolutely could not believe the feeling walking to work. It's just like, what's going on? My alertness went up.
Yeah.
I felt happier for some reason. It was almost like it's like inflammation's like your enemy almost, isn't it? It's like,
it's at the basis of all chronic diseases of like all your cancers, diabetes, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's colitis. It's the basis of all of that. When that inflammation occurs in your body can't function the way it's meant to. Because with mine, the inflammation was all happening in the gut, which meant my body couldn't absorb any nutrients. If you can't absorb any nutrients, none of your other organs are functioning properly. And you're not able to, I wasn't able to maintain any weight. I dropped down to 51 kilos from 67 within about 3 weeks.
Wow.
It's just like...
It's like nearly a third of your body weight gone in the space of a month.
I could even look at myself in the mirror because I was just a bag of bones. It was just like, oh my God. And I was so fatigued from it as well and so weak, like trying to get up and go anywhere. My mum had to come and I was like an old lady being helped around the house. I couldn't carry a shopping basket. I couldn't change the sheets on my bed. There's so many things that I just couldn't do that I had to get help for.
So sleep, what else?
Came off the pill. I had been on the contraceptive pill for 21
It's a horrible thing.
years.
Absolutely horrible thing for women.
And I'd remembered reading a study that something about it that could disrupt your gut microbiome, so bacterial levels in your gut if you had prolonged use. And I'd asked a consultant about it, and he was like, the study's not big enough to do it. But the study was of 57 women, and of those 57 women that had come off their pill, it was more than 50% of them had gone into remission. I was like, it doesn't matter if there's only 57 women or 5,700 women. That statistic is likely to still be a good
valid,
number to try it.
Yeah.
So he had discouraged me from doing it because he wanted to see whether or not the medication would work.
This is the thing. It's one of the frustrations I've always found, and it's not to be in any way disrespectful to the people of the NHS, but I know that people are well intentioned. It's a massive bureaucracy, and in a lot of cases, their hands are tied by process, procedure, and these types of things. But in our journey, with, again, my partner and her epilepsy, kind of similar to yourself in certain respects, is that when you go to them with ideas, and they go, well, do you know what? No, that's, as you say, maybe not a big enough study, or that's not conclusive, or somebody else says something else. I don't get why they don't just go, why don't we just see if this works for you? That's what it takes, right? So if you've got this idea,
try it.
We're going to see you in 6 weeks' time. Between now and then, you go and try that, come back in 6 weeks, tell us how you feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that I don't get why that step doesn't come up. And in our journey, and it sounds like in yours as well, that has been, you know, a recurring step that's been missed. You know, if you think it'll work and you want to try it, on you go. What's the harm?
I think that there's a point where if the consultant said that to you and you went away and tried it and it had a negative effect, you could come back and go, well, you told me to try it, and they would try and pin it back.
Well,
so they've got that red tape of
ethics.
They really need to watch what they go. They can go, I'm not saying yes, but if you want to try it.
But something as basic as sleep, you know?
Yeah.
Get a wee bit more sleep, I think. There seems to be like a lack of sort of common sense checks that they do. Like if you go in and you're sick, so chronic illness as well, and they don't look at your nutrition, they don't look at your sleep patterns, they don't look at the stress levels. They don't do that. They just go, this is the drug that's proven to have the best effect on this illness, so you just take that. And it's almost like, well, is that the best solution for the problem? And I think 9 times out of 10, it's definitely not. Did you change your diet?
I already ate a plant-based diet.
Okay.
I've been vegetarian for most of my life, so I didn't. Through all the research that I'd read, there was a couple of researches that was suggest that autoimmune paleo would be really good for people. So that's pretty much just eating meat. But for myself, because I had always been vegetarian, I'd never been able to physically eat meat. There was other studies that showed that being vegan or going through the whole food plant-based was a better option. So it's what fits for you, it's what works for you. So try what works. So my diet, I've been really fortunate. I've not had to make any changes. There's no food that I used to eat that I eat now that I go, probably shouldn't I eat that because it's giving me bother. So I feel like I've been really fortunate in that.
Yeah, I mean, I one of the big ones for me is sugar. Like, I think that white sugar, cane sugars, like, I mean,
that causes inflammation as well. Yeah.
Do you know about Rhonda Patrick? You heard about Rhonda Patrick? So she's an American. She's coined this term for herself. She's like a psychotherapeutic nutritionist.
Right.
Who gets sent sort of like last line people that are about to get sectioned. They've had their own multiple SSRIs and taking, like, they're just having like schizophrenia, chronic depression, suicidal thoughts. And she's the last line of defence, and she's got like a 90% success rate in changing people's diets and reducing inflammation in their gut. And she uses this really cool analogy that your gut's like the fuel tank to the car and your brain's the engine. So if you're putting diesel into a petrol car, it breaks down. And that is what she finds is happening in a lot of people is that they've just got this high sugar, high carb diet. And one of the things that she prescribes is, like you were saying, paleo and just cut all of the sugars apart from fruit. So she's saying you can have fruit, veg, meat, but nothing else. You can't really take anything else in. I find that fascinating that as mental health, because mental health issues go up and up and up and up. Our diet the Western diet is more prevalent in all of these people.
Yeah.
I find that really fascinating, and a 90% success rate in not sectioning patients. But people don't.
Just looking at diet.
People don't even speak about it. Like if you go to your doctor and you're saying that you don't feel good, you're depressed, they don't even consider. And
when doctors are being trained, the level of nutrition training that they get is really, really minimal. I think it's something like 24 hours within the full 5 years is based on nutrition, and that is based on the food plate, the Eat Well plate, or whatever it's called, which has been made by a cereal company. It's funded by the dairy. It's funded by the dairy.
Cadbury and stuff like that. Kraft.
Because when you look at it, it's like, just eat natural food, and when you put it in, does it agree with you? Yes, keep eating it. If you put it in and it doesn't, don't eat it again.
See loads of people getting good results with things like degenerative diseases, and they're going to just meat based. So they just do purely high fat, like keto. And their symptoms just disappear. My girlfriend's gran, we were doing a version. It's not completely keto because I need fruit. And they're doing martial arts. Like I need quick energy. I need fast acting carbohydrates. But she did the same sort of diet in her arthritis. And women's like in her 80s, arthritis in her joints and everything get better. She's like getting out of bed in the mornings really dead easy. She used to have problems. She used to sit for half an hour, let her knees sort of warm up, and then she would get up. She didn't need to do that. Like basically, inflammation just went down. And I think that what, like you were saying, I don't blame doctors. I don't blame like practitioners or people. That these people's educations are what the problem is. It's what we're teaching people.
I think the way we price a lot of food as well is counterproductive in these respects because, health eating is significantly in a lot of cases more expensive, particularly in like poorer areas, than going and buying a 99 pence rustler burger and firing that down your neck. You know what I mean? Like the actual, it's not necessarily junk food, but it's also a lot of times real food that people are buying, and it's so much cheaper, so much more accessible for a lot of people who haven't maybe been educated. If a doctor's only getting 24 hours nutrition education, what is your average punter on the street getting? You know what I mean? Like probably nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
zero. I mean, when I was growing up, I had absolutely no idea. I think that was one of the things that when I lost weight was that I actually educated myself. It wasn't that I had to re-educate myself. I had no education. Like my mum and dad, it was pizza and chips and steak pie and chips and potatoes, and that was just what I ate.
Chips,
you know what I mean?
chips.
Everyone with chips.
Aye, exactly. Just a pure traditional Scottish diet and the fry up on the Sunday. Though it turns out that the fry up isn't actually that bad for you. That it's the chips. And I was watching the Tyson Fury Joe Rogan podcast, and he's went for like nearly 30 stone down to like 18. He's a heavyweight boxer, so he's quite muscular, so he is quite heavy, big guy as well, 6'9". And they were saying to him, like, what is it that you've done? He was basically like, just eats bacon and eggs and chicken but it's just the weight's just dropped off.
It's been wild.
When you shift your fuel from carbs to fats, it has a huge impact on like holding on to weight, holding on to water and stuff like that. We were talking earlier on about the negative sides of sort of the internet. You're the fourth maybe like sort of online coach that we've sort of spoke to, and this is an area that I'm intrigued with as well, that we're starting to open up to, so you don't need to be within the area of somebody that's got sort of expertise. What kind of people do you find, because it's mind, body and soul coaching that you do, is that right? What kind of people do you find are coming in, and what kind of problems is it that they're having?
Most of the women that come to me, it's confidence in themselves. That's where their biggest issues lie, and because they lack confidence in themselves, they comfort eat, or they won't go to the gym because they feel too self-conscious about themselves. So some of the stuff that I do is working around that confidence and looking at their diet to try and break the habits of the comfort eating. And I have an app which they can do the exercises at home. So I've got some videos with got Pilates and yoga, some meditations, and some easy workouts that they could just do from the living room to get them moving. And once they start moving and see what they can do, then they can feel more confident to actually go out into the world and go to a gym class or go to a fitness class or whatever it is that they actually want to do. Because a lot of people think that they have to go to the gym or have to do a fitness class to get fit. They forget that playing with their kids, going for a walk, going out for a cycle, just generally being active. I mean, we got a allotment back in April, and working in the garden is a hugely beneficial. So
you get a lot of benefit for that, didn't you?
I enjoy the garden in the summer. I've grown to enjoy it. It's something that I used to really hate. But now I've got, I can fire my headphones on and rattle around in an hour and a half and get, an hour and a half's peace and a bit of sunshine,
Yeah.
I mean, my idea of gardening when I was, I hate it as well. I still hate it, but it's because I used to get popped out in the garden with a lawnmower. My dad would be like, right, you do that.
It's kind of what I do.
You're like, fuck's sake.
It's
Summer holidays.
I don't actually like plant flowers or anything like that. I've got roses that come in every year and I don't know how they're awesome. But I claim credit for them. The wee fella next door to me just dominates me with his garden, so he does. But that's the life when you're retired into it. It's just going chill out in the garden all the time. You know what I mean?
There's a huge yoga movement happening. I don't know if you've seen DDP Yoga. Seen this guy? Used to be a wrestler. So he's created an app and it starts in bed.
Okay.
So the yoga that he teaches, it starts in the bed. So it's for people that have got blown out knees and shoulders and naturally can't move. And he progresses. There's a video online of a guy, he was a Marine. And in fact, no, he wasn't. He was a paratrooper. And his lower half was just absolutely fucked for jumping out and landing, obviously, like parachutes. And this guy, I was going to say in the space of 20 minutes, but it's not 20 minutes. It must have been I think it was 2 years.
Yeah.
The guy goes from bedbound to squatting in the gym and running. There's a video of him running. The first time he runs, he lets go of the sort of walking stick and he starts to jog a wee bit. And this guy's journey is incredible. And it was all done through yoga.
Yep.
That was it, start to finish. So I think yoga is one of these things that's really powerful. I think we should be teaching it.
Yes.
In sort of schools, primary schools, and getting people sort of moving. And so the meditation, did you say that you give them
meditation as well,
so you sort of prescribe meditation to people?
Yeah, we need it because we're so distracted all the time. There's so much going on and people don't know how to quieten their mind. So when they're trying to chill out or whatever, they're watching the TV or they're on their phone scrolling through social media.
It's just more stimulation, isn't it?
It's more stimulation, but it's also really numbing. So you don't have to think about your thoughts, but you're also not getting any quiet time. And the quiet time is really, really important to be able to tap into your intuition and to be able to start to connect with yourself so that you understand who you are and what it is that you want in life. Because if you're if you've got too much advertising going on in front of you, you think that you need to be drinking whatever fizzy juice to be fun and happy, whatever car it is that you need to be cool to drive, whatever outfits it is, you're constantly bombarded with these messages. So if you can take that time away to just shut that off, even if it's only for 3 or 4 minutes a day to start with.
Yeah.
Is that I used to when I used to go out clubbing, I was always looking for something higher than myself, and I actually found that in meditation. Like the connection that I used to get when I was in a nightclub, connected to that music, wasted out my face, and then feel like shit for 4 days afterwards. I can get that same happy, uplifted, connected feeling through meditation.
Yep.
From sitting in my spare room for 10, 15 minutes. And I was like, fuck, I was looking for this all along. It cost me a fortune to try and find this all those years ago. All that damage I've done to my body and my mind and everything else.
I think
and
as well
hearing.
as the sleep, that's one of the kind of things in recent years that I've taken on, and it's been pretty transformative, is the meditation. Like, as I've kind of come to terms with my mental health over the years, I've always referred to it as like my head's noisy today. Like if I'm agitated, or that's just the way I always describe it to people, is that just my head's feeling noisy today. I just need, a chance to sort of pull myself back in. And I went to a sort of group session one time, and they closed the group session with like 10 minutes of just guided meditation, and I'd never done it. I felt ridiculous. And then I connected with it like halfway through the 10 minutes. And you like physically felt the difference that it was making. It was so weird. But it's something that, again, I've continued on with on the basis. And it is something that, again, we've recommended a number of times to folk when we've been talking about. It's huge. Yeah,
there's research that shows it helps with reducing inflammation as well. So it's another benefit to...
How? I love meditating. I try and do it every day. At least get it 5 days a week. If I like, that's my sort of like. If I miss it 2 days because I'm too busy, then that's fine. But I do it every day. But I don't understand it. If you know what I mean, it's still a bit of a mystery. I see the benefits, but I don't know why or how that happens. I think there was a point 2 months ago where I hadn't meditated for about 10 days, and it wasn't deliberate, but I did notice that I was like, what's going on here? Why do I not feel quite right? And then realised, fuck, I've not meditated in 10 days. And then went, right, I'll meditate. And then it's like 2 days later.
Just felt back to normal.
And just felt like really grounded. It's almost like when I don't meditate, my thoughts get carried away. But when I practice meditation, I can sort of stay on top of my thoughts and just sort of be in the moment and focus on what's happening around about me, rather than just getting caught up in sort of subconscious sort of...
Yeah, I like to think of meditation as if you think about a snow globe and you shake it up. When you've shaken it up, that's all your thoughts going everywhere mental. So when you meditate, it lets all those thoughts ground down and settle, so you can start to see that clearer picture. So if you don't get to put that practice in all the time, you're just walking about with the glitter flying all about the place, and you can't get that clarity. And that's all happening on a cellular level. Is the studies that they've done was on a specific type of meditation called the loving kindness meditation, and they did it with Tibetan monks because they were all in the same circumstances and they were meditating for a certain length of time every single day. So they were taking like blood markers from them, and they found that oxytocin, the happy hormone, was getting released while they were doing this meditation because of the love and compassion that they were feeling during the meditation, and that's what was helping reduce the inflammation within the body.
So it'll be a reduction in cortisone or something like that. It'll be like stress hormone going down, so then your body doesn't. Right, so no. That's maybe I've probably read that and just can't really remember. Me and Matt were talking before you came in about like this thing, the goddess mini events, the goddess empowerment days, and fitness that fits you. So, I'll bet they're amazing days. What kind of feedback do you get on them?
You get feedback from the women saying that they didn't realise that things could be a different way because they're getting to experience somebody else's point of view, or realise that they're not the only one that's going through certain feelings and certain thoughts about themselves. So when we're talking about whatever it is that's going on in one person's life, somebody else will be like, oh, I've been through that as well, and this is how I got through it. And it's creating that support and that community feeling of knowing that you're not alone in the world, and that your problems are actually replicated in every single person, but they just come out in a slightly different way. But it's still those feelings of not feeling enough and feeling insecure about yourself. from my workshops, I had one girl who came a few years ago and she ended up going off to work in China. Like one of her dreams was to go and teach. She was doing her teaching English as a foreign language course, and she wanted to go work abroad. So I was like, "Well, get your CV done and do it." So I started like not bullying her, but actively encouraging her.
I'll be digging the ribs.
And I'd send her a message every couple of days like, "Have you done that CV yet?" And she ended up going out to live in China for a couple of years, which was amazing. We've had people that have completely changed careers from what it is they've done. We've had people that have just taken back control of what it was they wanted. So it's really hard for mums to be able to go, I'm going to look after myself first, because the feeling for them is that they've got other people as a priority and they've got to look after everybody else first.
But they're useless
they're burning
to the other
themselves
people.
out. Yeah, they're burning themselves out. They're emptying their cup and then sitting there totally dehydrated and not sure why. And it's like, well, you need to stop and fill up your cup.
So hard for them in that respect, because all through, your young and sort of early adult life, all the kind of media and this sort of stimulation that we talk about, like, it teaches them to prioritise being a wife and being a mother and being... So I think when they get into that situation, I could understand why so many women struggle to maybe prioritise themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're told for, the first day that somebody puts a doll in their hand, that this is what you're destined to be. So, when you get there, it can become this be-all and end-all sort of, defining thing that they have to prioritise. You know what I mean? I can get that.
Yeah. And thankfully there is a big movement. There's a lot of people out there teaching the look after yourself first, because it's like put the oxygen mask on first if you're in the plane crash.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to be well to help other people.
Absolutely.
And then you can actually help them better.
I think this is something that men need. We were talking to a guy, Jim. He does a thing called MOT for Men, where he gets guys to come in and they make common health problems that men suffer from, like testicular cancer, prostate cancer, poor mental health,
Alcoholism.
Yeah, alcoholism, and they make analogies based on cars, and then he talks about like fixing the engine and all these different bits and pieces. But he was telling us that, to the contrary of the popular opinion, that when men start to speak, they properly go for it. They'll open up in front of other men, and we traditionally think men don't speak. And I think it's a lack of community. So he had said something about the pub mentality. Like, guys used to have the pub.
Yeah.
So like every Friday night, I can even remember my dad doing this. I'm sure you're the same.
Absolutely.
And every Friday night he would go to the pub, and then he would sit in the pub, and then he'd be back down the pub and watching the football or going to the football.
Yeah.
And something that me and Matt used to do with each other is going to the football. And I think there's, like you had just sort of hit the nail on the head, it gives people a sense of community. And then this shared ideas and shared problems that we're all facing.
As well as safe space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things that across a number of the episodes when we've talked to guests and similar initiatives and that the safe space is something that's vital. That people that can look around the room, see people who have got similar situations, similar experiences to them, and then, as you say, when they share that experience, that knowledge, that it then reciprocates, and obviously that safe space is vital.
Judged.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not being judged. That just, it makes them go, oh, that's all right. I'm not a bad person. I'm not mental. I'm not whatever.
They're basically like group counselling sessions then, aren't they? Because that's like what counselling is like a non-judgmental environment for you to basically communicate like honestly with somebody that's just going to listen.
Yep.
And that's it. I mean, I think, well, we've seen a couple of people do ones for men, but they're very sort of specific, sort of men's anxiety groups, addiction groups, recovery groups, alcoholic. But I like the broader, like, let's look at everything and prioritise stuff in your life and sort of give yourself your goals.
Yeah.
Like, they're like hugely important.
Yeah, and men are really good at taking action over things. So if you give a man a list of, like, what's your problem? This is how you fix it. Go away and fix it. You don't need to over-consume with emotions and stuff unless they actually want to. And so most of the women that come to me are of more that masculine energy, kind of, right, I've got this problem, and they've either got to a point where they're absolutely fucked off and they need to get it fixed, or they are just one of these action taker, like, you tell me what to do and I'll go and do it and I'll fix it. But it's because somebody else is asking them to do it. They won't let that other person down. But if they know themselves, because they know themselves what they need to do, whether it's the diet, whether it's the exercise, whatever, but they won't do it for themselves. They need somebody else to tell them to do it. And I think that's a human flaw that we have at the moment, of not being able to hold ourselves accountable for things for a lot of people.
Do you ever get kickback when you try and prod people and make them accountable? So if you're checking in, do you ever get people getting upset?
No, they just don't answer. If they've not been doing
Right.
it, they just disappear off the radar.
Just ghost you?
Yeah.
Like a bad Tinder date? Just like block you on everything, just like, where did you go?
Hiya, how are you getting on? Silence. I'm like, I sent you a WhatsApp, I can see that you read it.
Do you have any techniques to try and re-engage people if they do sort of slip off? Because it will be a sign that they're just not doing what they know. I mean, you're saying that they know that they need to do these things, but that's why they don't reply, because they don't want to feel that guilt. Do you have a way of like re-engaging people? Just soft skills or anything?
I always just let people know that they can come back at any time, because if they're not engaging with it just now, it just means that they're not ready for whatever reason. They maybe just need a bit more time, or they thought that they wanted to change and they've changed their mind. So I would not. I've worked with coaches in the past that are like, if you walk away from this program, you're never getting back in, and you're just like, you're a dick. So I'm always open to, when you're ready, come back to me and we'll have another conversation. We'll pick up from where you left off. And like, I would never turn somebody away or make
Improvement has
them
to be
feel
continuous, doesn't it? It's, if you're ready, why would the door never be open again? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And you need to know that people are supportive of that, and that nobody's going to judge you because you didn't manage to do it the last time, because we've all done stuff where we've started it and failed and gone, I'll come back to that later. And then when you come back, maybe, and it can be 2, 3, 4 years later, you come back to it and then you do it and you're like, oh.
You're so much more prepared and ready to do
because
it.
there's
like,
other things you have to go through before you can get, because when when you think about people, they're either moving towards pleasure or away from pain, and some people are more motivated by one than the other, and you can't dictate to that person. You can't keep going, oh, here's all the pleasure over here, here's the pleasure. They need to be in enough pain to move away from it.
Yeah.
And you can't determine how much that pain is. That's only
That's
they
a
can.
big sort of thing that I think about a lot when I see a lot of online coaches is, what is this person's motivation? Like you're saying there, somebody's like, if you walk away for this, you can't come back. That's just their butt hurt that they don't. They're basically basing their success on other people's ability to take what they're saying, instead of just maybe even reflecting on how did I do that? Is there something that I could have done differently? No, this person's motivation just isn't there to do it, right? So I can just move on, give my attention to other people. That's their ego getting involved, and
Very
they're starting
much so,
to just go, well, I've done everything for you, and you're not doing this for me.
you're making me a failure.
Exactly.
Yes.
They feel like they've failed because somebody hasn't completed their program. And I always worry about that when I see people because it is like a growth industry, is this online coaching idea. I mean, if you go on Instagram, they're everywhere. People just saying, I could give you this, or even if they're pushing personal training, nutritional plans, or if it's let's fix your mental health. And I always worry about, like, why is this person, like, what is this person's motivation? Is it actually to help people, or is it I want to make loads of money? Is it that I want to be this next sort of Robbins? Is it Tony Robbins? I want to be this next sort of
the guru guy.
famous, like they're posting pictures of themselves, basically going, look how great I am. You can be as great as me if you pay me. Like,
I've found I'm kind of moving away from from having like online programs, because I find that I've done it myself. You sign up for an online program, and because you don't see somebody face to face, it's easy to ignore. Oh, I'll do that next week. I'll do that next week.
Again.
It's that accountability. So I've found that in person is much more beneficial for the client and also for me as a coach, because you do, when you put stuff out and people buy it and then they fail at it, it's like, well, what's wrong with my program? But there's nothing wrong with the program. It's just you're maybe selling it to people that think that they're ready for that, but they're not actually.
People as well, like you were saying earlier on, they're seeing advertisements. So they're looking, maybe even looking at your social media and thinking, oh, do you know, Jen's really well put together. I want to be like that. I'll just buy that. But then, like you're saying, isn't he really talking to who they are? And they're not making their goals about what they want to achieve. It's always about, I want to be a certain way, or I want to say that I'm doing a certain thing. I think a lot of people go to the gym, like, just to say that they go to the gym.
Yes. That's why the gyms have got thousands of memberships, and if all those thousands of members decided to rock up at the gym at the same time, they wouldn't be able to let them in. Because it's like, oh, you've got 10,000 members in a place that has a capacity for 100 people. That's madness.
Would you ever franchise your program? Would you let other people, like, because there's only so many people you can see face to face?
I don't know.
Putting you in a spot.
No, I'm not that.
Have you ever met anybody where you thought, like, I would let them, like, run my program?
Yeah. but they've got their own program. I would rather encourage somebody to make their own thing and deliver their own thing than just take a cookie cut version of mine.
Yeah.
And then they're delivering something, they might be excellent at it, but if it's a franchise, then it's got to be done in a certain way with a certain script, and then that's not them being them, that's them being a watered down version of me.
Yeah.
So no,
No, you
actually,
wouldn't do that then.
No, actually, thank you for that.
Aye.
Doing that one for me.
Solidified that for you there.
One.
There was a bit on the website, it was about sort of letting go, and I was just interested because you must get a lot of people that will come to see you that have got like emotional trauma and sort of things that have happened, and what type of steps do people need to take to let go? It's something that I've struggled with, definitely,
Yep.
with this idea of like forgiveness and just
Yeah.
so what is it that people need to do?
Forgiveness is quite an interesting one, because when you're not forgiving somebody, they don't really know, and all it is eating you up inside. So
Yeah.
when you forgive somebody, it's not about you doing something for them, it's for you doing something for yourself. It's like putting rat poison down for the rat, but you eating it yourself and expecting the rat to die. So if you're not given that forgiveness, and you don't have to tell the person that you've forgiven them, you can just tell the universe, I've forgiven that person because they have been a dick, and I just have to accept the fact that they're a dick. And then you can let that go from that way, because by you going, I can't believe that they did that to me and they said that to me, you're then being a victim of...
You're allowing them to own you.
Yeah, you're giving them power over something that they should... They're winning then.
That's an interesting sort of point of view.
It's something that, again, rings true with me in terms of previous experience and stuff like that in life. Like, you know, I had a level of bitterness towards certain things, and it came a point where you're like, well, I've got two choices here. It's to continue holding on to the bitterness for no absolute benefit to myself whatsoever, or just go on with my life and move on. You know what I mean? Like, but it was a pretty lengthy process. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a simple realisation, but I think it's something that might take people a bit of time to get there.
Yeah, you have to keep asking yourself, what is it that you're getting from that situation? So if you're holding that bitterness, what do you get from that? Is it positive? Is it a negative? And working through that, because if it's always just a negative, then you're only doing damage to yourself.
Yeah.
And so how would you go about sort of letting go?
So you could write a letter to them that you never sent. So just physically sitting down, writing all the things that you think and you feel about whatever the situation is, so that it then is releasing that out of your mental space. So you can do it. There's also a technique, that's the word I'm looking for, called tapping, where you sit and you go through whatever it is and you tap on different acupressure points, and you go through all the negative stuff about it, and then you bring in all the positive stuff. So you tap on each point and just repeat over the negative stuff that you want to get rid of and the positive stuff that you want to bring in, and going through that process a few times. And that can be really, really useful as well, because it's just reaffirming all the positive stuff that you want to feel and let go of the negative stuff. And even doing like a muscle energy technique of tensing all the muscles up and releasing them and working your way in a meditation sort of form. You could also use things like NLP. I used NLP a lot after my divorce, because I thought, because with my divorce we had split up because he wanted to live in Australia, I wanted to live here, and just we both tried each country and it wasn't going to work. So logically we were splitting up. It was really amicable. We should have been fine, but you still have to go through a whole grieving process of the end of that relationship. And I didn't. I went to the Archies. And then decided to do a detox. And when I went through that detox, all of a sudden my world fell apart because I had nothing to numb the pain that I was going through. So I then went and reached out to one of my friends who's an NLP coach, and we did loads of NLP stuff, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And that's just being able to use hypnosis and techniques to change your thought process about things and to try and see things from other people's point of view as well.
Is it different to CBT?
Yeah, because it's all just done within your mindset.
Okay.
CBT, it's more about the habits that you have.
You break down your sort of thoughts, feelings, and then actions, and sort of try and intercept at some point.
Yeah, so this is all intercepting just within your thought process. So trying to...
Right at this sort of source.
Yeah.
NLP. I've heard people speak about NLP, but I've never really read into it. And
it sounds very Darren Brownie. So there's the way, he takes people to those almost hypnotic states, and you know, kind of, it's about the language you uses to essentially reprogram people's thought processes and stuff like that.
I went to this. Who did I speak to this about? I can't remember if I spoke about this in a podcast, but I went to a hypnotherapist because I used to be addicted to porn, and the first thing he said to me was that porn addiction doesn't exist. I was like, right, okay. And he's like, so sit down, and then it didn't work. Clearly it didn't work. There was
Your walls were up straight
no
away.
connection, zero connection with the guy, and he tried. And the funny thing about this guy is that, I mean, when I was sitting in the waiting room, he had Celtic Rangers players. He was a sports psychologist, and he was using hypnotherapy to get performance anxiety. So this is what he'd say to me is that it's just all performance anxiety, that it's got nothing to do with an addiction or the way that you've wired your brain or anything. So I was just like, right, okay, I'm just going to get out of here. So I've not had any good sort of experiences with hypnosis.
I can't say that. I mean, I've been to like a few hypnosis shows over the years, but like I've been so super wary of no wanting to be involved in them that the defences are just up. I'm consciously no compliant in a lot of cases, so you know, I don't know if it might be something that would work for me if I was
I think you have to really
meditative
trust
beforehand
the person.
or whatever. You know, if I was in that kind of malleable, kind of chilled out meditative state, I might be more susceptible to it. But the notion of and it's maybe for my own sort of control issues. The notion of somebody else being in control of what I'm doing is just no for me. You know what I mean? Like,
with hypnosis, you're always in control.
Yeah.
Like you can at any time be like, nah, this is not for me. So you have to really want, one, the result, and two, you have to have that trust and rapport with the person that you're sitting in front of, because you're in a very vulnerable state, because your emotions are going to be exposed. You're in a very relaxed state as it is, and you're in an enclosed room with this stranger. So there's loads of things that are going on there. So if you just go in feeling not comfortable in that situation, it's not going to be effective.
I think this guy could probably use some sort of like, I'm sure he's probably done qualifications in like how to communicate and counselling skills or something, but I'm pretty sure this guy could
just
be using a refresh. Definitely. It was just so arrogant. It was so weird. It was just this weird experience that I had, and it just put me off. I've always, when people say to me about hypnosis, I'm always like, it's nonsense, but maybe I should be a wee bit more
definitely a
open-minded.
real thing. It's just, I don't know, it's
Have you seen
a rabbit hole into it.
the Darren Brown, Joe Rogan? I always talk about Joe Rogan. I've got like a pure man crush on him.
I did.
I think
talks
most
about
men
how-
have got a man crush on Joe Rogan.
So the thing is that it's so strange. Like, if you see him sitting at his podcast table, this is something that even like my girlfriend says, such an attractive guy and so confident. You see him standing next to people, he's like that height, tiny wee guy, and it's almost like, what? Like, is that him? He's got this massive torso and he's just like so small. But the Darren Brown one, he's actually saying that hypnosis doesn't exist. That it's like a placebo, basically. It's just a state.
It's a very relaxed state.
It's a state that you shift people into, and the actual thinking that hypnosis means that, like takes you out of your body or anything like that isn't really
nobody's
the case.
ever really going to do anything they don't already want to do. I
That's
did
it.
see it. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Also, again, one of the things we talked about earlier on, you know, the kind of day-to-day goal setting. I know that that's something that Darren Brown obviously quite advocates, is, you know, those day-to-day, you know, I'm grateful for, you know, my lunch and my, you know, the other things.
He
Like
said
so it's weird
they
to
were
have
talking
that.
about goal setting because they spoke about Tyson Fury, because his thing was, his ultimate goal was to become the heavyweight boxing champion of the world and beat Vladimir Klitschko. And when he did that, his life just collapsed underneath him.
Yeah.
And they spent maybe 4 or 5 years drinking, taking drugs, eating loads of food, get massive. And then he realised that he was severely depressed. And what he did was he just went, well, just become the heavyweight champion again. And Darren Brown did what I did, actually. And the first thing he said was, well, what happens when he wins it?
Yeah.
What's he going to do then? And he had said, and I thought this was really interesting, that the key is being grateful for things like your breath doesn't smell at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, if I get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon and my breath's still okay, I'm grateful for
I'm
that.
winning
And
at life.
that was his key. He's saying that this is what's key, isn't he? These big, massive life goal plans and making these big, huge, I want to do this, because it's really kind of unachievable for the majority of people. But actually just appreciating that, like you're saying, I've got a bottle of water and I'm thirsty and I'm going to drink that water and sort of feel the water and go, look, that's good. Like and just appreciating life.
Yeah, because I think if you look at people that are at the top of their game, whether they're pop stars, athletes or whatever, and they've got to that top, it's like, well, what's next? And that's why I think so many of them fall off the wagon and they end up with problems with drinking, drugs and all the rest of it. It's because like they're there and they've maybe not got that feeling that they were looking for at the top, because they thought that the stardom and being the best was going to tick all the boxes and make them feel like they had a purpose in life. But it's finding in all the mundane stuff that you do from day to day how amazing that actually is.
Definitely.
It's like the Alexander the Great quote, into like no world's left to conquer sort of thing. That feeling that once you've got up there, as you say, at the top, that there's nowhere else to go. I think it would be quite a daunting thing. I mean, I get daunted by day-to-day stuff. You know what I mean? Like, never mind like pure lifetime career goals and stuff like that. I don't know what I would do the other side of it myself, to be honest with you. I
think like about a year ago, I had a real if anybody can hear scratching, I've got a cat trying to get in the room. I don't think you'll be able to hear it, but I had to sort of shift in my mind what I seen, like, because I work in retail and I just hated it. I just absolutely, I'd got to sort of like the top of like retail, if you know what I mean. Like I'm at the top of where I can get, basically, and I just sort of sat back and went, I've spent like 5 or 6 years trying to get here, and now I'm here, and I hated it, absolutely hated it. And I had to really just think about, what do I like about my job? What do I actually like about my job? I like speaking to people, and I like helping people. Like if I've got people that come and work in my shop, I always say to them, what's your goals? And I've had multiple people that have come in, started, and then left and went on to things that they wanted to do. So I had 2 girls that were studying to be opera singers, and they wanted to move to London and become professional. They both did that. I've had a guy that was my assistant manager, and I actually had a word with him. It's basically like, retail's dying, mate. You need to do something else. Like, this isn't the be all and end all. And he went and became a computer programmer, which is what he was doing with his degree. And so I enjoy that, and I love that, and I love connecting with people. And so I just try and do that as much as I can every day. I don't go in and I've got certain things that I need to do, but I don't see that as my job anymore. It's like, that is just the things that I need to do to keep the place running. But actually my job is to help people and connect with people, and that's what I'm going to do more of. And even just doing that, sort of wiring what I see is valuable day to day, has had such a massive impact on me. I
think if more people could do that in their jobs, everybody that has a job would be so much happier, because they are fulfilling. I mean, I was in Costa up at the Fort a few weeks ago, and there was a guy in there, and he was clearing the tables and stuff, and he was stopping chatting to everybody at the tables, and he was noticing everything that was going on in the store. There was a kid like running along the chairs, so he went over and dealt with that, and made sure my friend was going up to get her teapot refilled, so he saw her in the queue, and he went up and took the teapot and got it refilled so that she didn't need to wait. And he was just so conscientious at his job and did an amazing job. And I thought, if everybody was like that could find joy in the work that it is that they're doing, the world would be a much better place. I think a lot of people
don't realise that it's a choice. And it's something that I've learned over the years, is that I've been in the sort of call centre industry for quite a period of time now, and up until the kind of halfway point, I felt completely trapped by it. I felt like it just been, a series of failures since the end of uni that have landed me here. Whereas now, sort of, 5-10 years later, I look at it as just, I realise that you can make the choice to go in and take a level of pride in what you do. You know what I mean? And those 40 hours of the week definitely go a lot faster when you make that choice to go, do you know what? I can sit in the corner and sulk for 40 hours, or I can go and just try and achieve something. Just go and move forward for 40 hours a week instead. And for me, that realisation was night and day. But I think that's something that a lot of people, they feel beat down or, dragged under by jobs, and they don't realise that that's a choice that they're making to think like that. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Well, we're pushed into a sort of corner of living for your next holiday. And when's your next night out? And it's this weird sort of thing. I mean, I've gave up drinking pretty much, and I always get this weird reaction that are like, "What? Why would you do that?" I was like, "Well, because I feel like shit when I drink, and I don't want to do it. Is that all right?" And it's always this weird sort of thing where we're sort of pushed into what's the next thing that you're going to get. When's the next house buying? When's the next car, like you were saying earlier on? That is just almost
your next moment of relief.
It's like feel safe. You'll feel safe when you buy the house. You don't need to rent anymore, and then you're like, but
got to find the money for the mortgage.
Exactly.
And the bills don't go away; they get bigger.
Try to say to people, even like sort of younger people. I mean, I've owned a house and sold it, and it didn't mean anything. Like it was just the same as renting a house and moving out, except I had less freedom. Like I was tied into this house, like, and our relationship ended, and I had to find tenants to move in. It was such a pain in the fucking arse, actually. And keep saying to people, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to save up my deposit to buy my house," and I'm like, then what? What's that going to give you? Oh, it means I don't need to pay rent. It means I can just pay like my mortgage.
Which I think is a very baby boomers kind of thought process, because back like when my mum and dad were buying their house, they buy a house for £10,000, £20,000 and it's now worth like 300,000. So now you're trying to buy a house worth 300,000 it's never going to be worth $1 million.
Exactly.
Do you know, it's insane. Is that I do own my house that I live in, but that's only because my mortgage is cheaper than my rent. Because when you buy in
which is the motivation for quite a lot of people, is because it's like double if you're renting. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are pushing for this, like, save this deposit, save this huge amount of money so that I can then get my own house, and then that'll be me. I'll take care of my house, and my house will be beautiful, and then that'll be it. I'll be so happy. And then they get there and they buy the house, and they don't take care of it because they're like, I still don't feel right. I still don't feel happy. What's happened here? It's almost like
they've not looked inside.
Yeah, their mums and dads. This is what happened to me as well. Is this like, you need to do these things. You need to. It's almost like this sort of.
It's ingrained in you.
This path for like education to work to family to house to kids, and then it's grow old, and it's like it's not enough for me. Just it's not enough for me.
You're living for your retirement. It's like, because my mum and dad were like that, if you put in money buy for your retirement, and I was like, no, but I'm not looking forward to retiring, because if I've got my books and I've got my courses and I've got other stuff, what am I going to do with my time if I'm not doing that?
Will you retire? That's the question, is that, well, I want to retire if I'm doing something that I love.
I don't, for me, I love what I'm doing, and if I'm making a difference and being able to help people, I don't see what I'll do will change over the years. Like, used to teach hundreds of spin classes, now I don't, now I teach yoga. And that yoga might change to purely meditation, which might change to just writing and doing that sort of stuff. But I'm not living to retire. I'm not counting down the days and the months to retire.
No, definitely not.
That's their time coming up anyway. So do you want to just tell folk where they can find you?
Yep, so my website is warriorwomanproject.com, and I'm also in the new year going to be launching a new website, which is iamjenwilson.com, which will have slightly more different things on it.
It will be inclusive for men as well.
It will be inclusive for men as well.
I'll definitely be looking forward to that. But listen, thanks very much for coming on. You've been a great
Absolute
guest.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I kept going.
Yeah, absolutely.
All day.
Thanks a lot for coming in. It's been a joy.
Thank you.